tell you something, I've seen some market rallies, but this March really is something else. It's a phenomenal rally. It gave you a 2-day correction, and the series is ending on the highest point. That's what happens. On expiry day, you ask yourself, who's going to cover in last hour? And you get the answer, and that's what's happened, especially on the Bank Nifty, where we are up 405 points, fresh all-time high. This is closing well. I'm Anuj, and with me, of course, is Surabhi. Hi, Surabhi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anuj. What an afternoon. What a month, as you're saying, it's been for the bulls, really. 7% up on the index. Mid-caps have roared back to life as well. And for the year, by the way, since we'll be closing out the year, fiscal year tomorrow, we're talking 15% gains, at least on the headline indices. Anyway, coming back to today, I mean, I don't know, the same story that we've been discussing. FII money coming in, just pumping prices higher?
Absolutely same story, the same FII money, the same stocks, the same HDFC twins, the same IndusInd Bank. Look at IndusInd Bank, by the way, the last few-minute chart. That could well be the expiry stock now, Surabhi, because that's the one where you've seen such buying, and towards the end, there's a bit of a move once again happening on that stock. So the HDFC twins, IndusInd, from the low point, SBI, I think the move in SBI has been phenomenal. In fact, the entire PSU banking pack. We've been asking a lot of people, do you want to buy PSU bank? Do you want to buy PSU banks? In a way, because the screen has been telling us that for last many days now that there's something changing in PSU banks, and perhaps it's it was a good time to take some exposure to PSU banks. But the private banks, Kotak of the world, everything's surging right now. What helped the market today was early on it got support from IT. When the Bank Nifty was sulking a bit, it got support from IT, and now the Bank Nifty is joining in. Expiry hour, you never know. For all you know, the Bank Nifty might easily add another 200 points. We saw that 2 days back, right? This is not a market in which you want to predict levels. This is a market in which you want to take the position on the dip and consolidation and just ride along. Because
why question the momentum, right? If it's working in your favor, then why question it?
You are in for the ride of your life, and you should just enjoy that. And anecdotally, if you hear noises about economy and all that, they prove to be buying opportunities. That's always happened, and this has been the big surge.
Absolutely. You've got two of the big banks, ICICI Bank and SBI, hitting fresh 52-week highs today. Now the stock tightens. So that's 3 stocks actually hitting fresh highs today on the Nifty 50. There's lots of participation. HDFC, Reliance Industries, Infosys. You just cannot complain. Well, let's get started. We have a very interesting last 1 hour coming up next. Here's what's lined up on closing bell today. The market surges to trade near the day's high, with banking stocks seeing phenomenal buying. We'll discuss, of course, all of the day's trends and, of course, the strategy from here on. Market experts SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com, Prakash Diwan, and IIFL's Abhimanyu Sofa to join us this afternoon. Now, ahead of the March F&O expiry, today is Thursday. Of course, we'll have the weekly expiry. So how are things playing out? Amit Gupta of ICICI Direct joins in with a couple of trading ideas. Now, it's curtains down on Motilal Oswal's annual India Ideation Conference. The market mood has been good. What's the mood at the conference, and what are the key takeaways after this conference? Rajat Rajgaria will be joining in with some feedback and some thoughts. And of course, as always, we've got our technical experts in the house with trading calls for the last hour.
Okay, for last hour calls, we have Ashwani and Mitesh now joining us. Good afternoon. Ashwani, for a near-term trader, time to take money off, or do you want to carry it for last hour and beyond? How would you approach the index, and what would be your stock calls?
Well, I don't know what a near-term trader means, because if you're a day trader, you got money. If you're a near-term trader, you got money. Now, whether this will continue tomorrow, that I can't say. But overall, if you are getting bigger than average money, which means if you normally get 50 points on Nifty on a day and you are getting 120, then it's often a good idea to take some off and put it away, because the markets will fall also similarly. So that way, these are big days, and as far as possible, protect your profits. So that way, but there is no problem. Today, another leg, which is IT, has also joined in, and all sectors positive, hardly one sector negative. So this is a very strong market, So I wouldn't mind carrying also, but overall it's up to you and whether you want to carry overnight risk, etc. But there is no problem with the market. Having said that, Yes Bank is a buy with a stop of 270, target of 284. PVR is a buy with a stop of 1620, target of 1675. And Adani Enterprise a buy with a stop of 139, target of 150.
Okay, all right. So plenty of buy calls there on Ashwini's list for this afternoon. Let's go across to Mitesh as well. Mitesh, now how are you looking at the last hour? And I mean, if there is someone who for some reason decided to book out profits, is now feeling quite bad about that call, is there any sense in now joining in so late into the party today? Or do you just then stay put, stick to stocks and maybe look at the index tomorrow?
So, good afternoon, Surbi. I think that's always a tricky part of it. I think my idea is that getting past 11, 550, 516, we've just kind of tested those levels. I think would be a good fresh buy position, long kind of trigger with a 40-point stop on the index, and we can then look at maybe levels of around 11,700, 750 to be tested. So in that sense, maintain a positive bias, wait for a fresh swing high to happen to enter fresh. And meanwhile, on the stock side, you're getting a lot of breakouts, so keep trading there with long bias. I have a buy on PEL with a stop at 25.45 for targets of 27.45. 26.45, sorry, that's the stop loss. And ICICI is a buy with a stop at 395 for targets of 412.
Okay, thanks a lot for those trading ideas. Just a bit of cool off from the highest point. For the market, the Nifty is now up 98 points, Bank Nifty 372, but this is expiry, so let's see what's pan out. Phenomenal day, of course. India's housing is up 5% right now, and you have some of the smaller stocks joining in, like the likes of IFCI, but stunning move once again for PSU banks. SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com is with us now. Mr. Tulsian, good afternoon. I wanted your thoughts on a stock like, say, Bank of Baroda. It's a stock which has started to outperform quite a bit over the last few days.
Senuj, in fact, we have been maintaining positive view on 4 larger PSU banks, and I must have repeated 4 or 5 times in last 1 week on State Bank of India, PNB, Bank of Baroda and Canara Bank. And yes, you are right. In fact, the re-rating of the PSU banks are seen happening in line with the huge run-up which we have seen in the Bank Nifty of about 3,600 points in this series, while Bank of Baroda is also part of the constituent of the Bank Nifty of those 12 stocks. So yes, seen positive on the stock going forward because of the too many news flows, like maybe like Jet Airways, SR Steel resolution, and so many other accounts getting resolved in this next 3 months. So that's a positive effect seen on all these PSU banks.
PSU banks are definitely having a field day. The other stock that has managed to rebound very well from the lows is Indiabulls Housing Finance. Actually, it's been a phenomenal month for Indiabulls Housing. We're talking gains of about 20 or 21 odd %. And the last 6 or 7 trading sessions have been actually rather good for this one. Mr. Tulsian, good afternoon, sir. Now, again, the market momentum is back, mood is good. So I think people are willing to, look at maybe even Indiabulls Housing positively. On the fundamentals, how would you rate it now at these levels?
See, Surabhi, based on fundamentals only, I have been recommending this stock maybe for last couple of months. I recall when the stock fell below 600 rupees or 550, and there was a lot of pessimism. I've said that if a company is continuously paying a dividend of 500%, interim dividend 10 rupees, in this last 3 quarters, in spite of the problems or the liquidity squeeze which we have seen in Q3 and maybe which has started in Q2 also, because Q2 results came in during Q3, and at that time also company declared the dividend of 10 rupees on a face value of 2 as a quarterly, and they've already declared 3 interim dividends. And again, with the marketing having started by the company on the home loan portfolio, it indicates, because since you have asked me on the fundamentals, let me just say that the dividend yield is seen at maybe at about 5% or maybe now at 4.5%. And if you take a call on price to earning expected EPS even for FY20, I don't think that why it should be less than 100 rupees or maybe 90-95. So the share is ruling at a P multiple of maybe 8 to 9, anywhere between 8 to 9, the kind of run up which we have seen in the stock. And even on the book value parameter below 2, and with the home loan book of more than 100 lakh crore, 1 lakh crore, 100,000 crore, and the kind of asset liability mismatch or the liquidity front they have liquidity of maybe 300 to 400% difference on a different time horizons, we have always kept extremely positive on the India Bull Housing. And in fact, if you really ask me, probably this is the cheapest stock among housing finance sector, while this sector is seen to be having tremendous growth potential. Come 1st April, we will be seeing the acceleration in the sales of the real estate flats, and that will lead to the fresh demand of the home loans as well, which will be seen positive for across the board housing finance company, but more especially for India Bull Housing Finance going forward as well. So yes, still continue to have a positive view on the stock, and purely on fundamentals, which I have just narrated.
Okay, Prakash Diwan is also with us in our studios. Prakash, good afternoon. So which PSU bank are you buying? It's really the flavor of the season.
Yes, so I think finally the bank that started flexing its muscle is SBI. Relative underperformer in the bank Nifty, while the bank Nifty has been at a scorching pace to all-time highs. And look at what's giving the kind of momentum, what's the tailwinds supporting SBI. It's not just a Nirav Modi coming back, potentially coming back. It's the IBC in its full glory that's kind of finally ticking off, and this is just the beginning, Anuj. I think what's happened to and even while lending 1,500 crore kind of a line of credit, of which SBI was part of the consortium, the market has taken it so positively that if things were to reconcile and start looking up, there's a whole slew of right backs that would come to their rescue. And SBI would finally also start seeing a little bit of a sum of parts revaluation in terms of the other businesses and franchise that it has. So I think once it crosses that 325, 330 zone, you'll probably have a very significant re-rating stepping in.
Okay. By the way, a stock that's managed to find some traction this afternoon is Bandhan Bank. We were in conversation with the management not too long back. They were talking about how once this acquisition is done, the GRU acquisition, then the promoter stake itself automatically will come down to 60-odd%, and then they'll eventually pare it down to 40%. So, that's an overhang that continues on the stock. But they are still quite confident on growth. Prakash, good afternoon. Since financials are the very clear flavor in this market, where would you put Bandhan Bank in the scheme of things?
No, so I think it's kind of making its logical comeback to where it used to be before the RBI norm to dilute kicked in. And today you had in the beginning of the session today morning you had some blocks on GRU Finance as well, and so if you see it's moved from red to the green, and then there is accumulation that's happening on that side also. So some of the smart money is actually chasing GRU to play the dual combo of Bandhan and GRU, and that arbitrage is kind of eventually leading to this kind of a recalibration. But on the bank itself, I don't think there's a great differentiated model, but the GRU pad up will help it differentiate right now.